Shalom, friends, and welcome to Walking the Ancient Path, where we journey back into the language, landscape, and life rhythms of the Scriptures in a lighter, more accessible way, exploring the world of the Bible as its original listeners would have experienced it.
Today, we'll pick up our in-depth exploration of the entire book of Galatians verse by verse and unpack each passage within the context of organic ancient Hebrew thought, formatted like a living Hebrew commentary.
Let's pick up where we left off, beginning in Galatians chapter 3.
Verse 1. O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you, that you should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Jesus Christ hath been evidently set forth crucified among you?
O senseless Galatians! Who has cast a spell over you, that you turn away from the truth? Was not Yeshua the anointed king painted clearly before your very eyes, fastened to the execution stake as if among you?
O foolish Galatians! The word is not about low intelligence, but about lacking discernment. In Hebrew imagery, it's like sheep ignoring the shepherd's call, drifting toward danger. Paul's tone is sharp, almost like a father snapping his children awake. Who has bewitched you? The imagery suggests enchantment, the evil eye, or a spell. In Hebrew thought, it signifies being blinded or misled by false light, veering off the right path. Paul suggests that a wind that leads astray, in Ruach Nasha, has obscured their clarity. That you should not obey the truth. Emet, truth, is not just information but the firm ground underfoot. To disobey truth is to step off the straight, solid trail into sinking sand. Whose eyes Jesus Christ? Paul reminds them that Yeshua's crucifixion was proclaimed so vividly that it was as if they had seen it themselves, painted on the canvas of their hearts, bright as firelight. Crucified among you, fastened to the execution stake as if among you, as if the Galatians themselves had witnessed the Messiah's self-giving, the anointed lifted up on the wooden etz, visible to their eyes of faith.
Verse 2. This only would I learn of you. Received you the Spirit by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith?
This one thing I ask you, did you receive the Ruach, the living breath of Elohim, through the deeds of Torah or through hearing the message with trust?
This only would I learn of you. Paul sharpens the argument by boiling it down to a single question. In Hebrew style, this is like driving a tent peg into the ground, one point to support the whole structure. Received you the Spirit. Ruach, not just an abstract spirit, but the Ruach, wind, breath, vitality. In Hebrew imagery, to receive Ruach is to have Yahweh's breath enter your lungs, filling you with life and power. By the works of the law, works here refers to actions done as Torah-keeping obligations. Paul asks, did life come through ritual compliance? In Hebrew thought, Torah deeds are good, but they are not the very breath itself. Or by the hearing of faith. In Hebrew imagery, Shema means both hearing and obeying. The Galatians had received the Besorah by hearing it and responding with emunah, trust, loyalty. It was this living response, not legal performance, that brought Ruach into their midst.
Verse 3. Are you so foolish? Having begun in the Spirit, are you now made perfect by the flesh?
Are you really so senseless? Having begun your journey in the breath of the Ruach, are you now trying to bring it to completion by the power of the Basar?
Are you so foolish? Paul repeats the charge like a shepherd shaking his head at sheep that keep drifting toward the cliff. In Hebrew imagery, foolish means lacking discernment, acting without wisdom's steady hand. Having begun in the Spirit, in the Ruach, their life in Messiah began with Yahweh's own breath filling them, like dry bones rising when the wind blew through the valley. Ezekiel 37. Are you now made perfect by the flesh? Perfect here means brought to completion. In imagery, a house started with stone but finished with mud bricks, unstable and inconsistent. Basar refers not only to the body meat and bones or circumcision, but also to human reasoning, strength, effort, and ritual performance. Paul asks, will you finish what began by divine breath with human sweat and reasoning?
Verse 4. Have you suffered so many things in vain, if it be yet in vain?
Have you endured so much hardship for nothing, if indeed it should turn out to be for nothing?
Have you suffered so many things when the word suffered can mean both enduring hardship and experiencing deep pain? In Hebrew imagery, it calls to mind the bruises, insults, and losses the Galatians had borne for trusting in Yeshua. In vain, suffering in vain is like plowing a field only to find no harvest. Paul warns that turning back to reliance on Basar would render their struggles meaningless. If it be yet in vain, a gentle note. Paul continues to hope that their suffering will not be wasted. In imagery, it resembles a farmer saying, "Surely the seed will yet sprout, even if the rains seem late."
Verse 5. He therefore that ministered to you the Spirit and works miracles among you, does he it by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith?
Does the one who pours out the Ruach among you and works mighty deeds in your midst do this because of Torah works or because you heard the message and responded with trust?
He that ministers to you the Spirit, Yahweh himself is the giver, breathing his own wind into the clan. In Hebrew imagery, he is the Father fanning fire into flame in their midst, and worked miracles among you. The word means powerful deeds, mighty acts. In Hebrew imagery, the tent of the Galatians had already seen Yahweh's strong hand stretch out, healings, signs, transformations. Does he do it by the works of the law? Paul presses. Were these wonders stirred up by their careful observance of Torah rituals? The implied answer is no, or by the hearing of faith, referring to Shema again, hearing with the ears and responding with emunah. In Hebrew thought, the miracles occurred because they opened their ears and trusted the word. They let the seed of the Besorah fall into their soil and fruit grew.
Verse 6. Even as Abraham believed God, and it was accounted to him for righteousness.
Just as Abraham put his trust in Elohim, and it was counted to him as tzedakah, right standing, and covenant faithfulness.
Even as Abraham, Paul connects the Galatians to the patriarch. In Hebrew imagery, Abraham is the family patriarch, the one who set up the first covenant tent under the stars of promise. Believed God, put his trust in Elohim. The Hebrew word hiemen means more than just intellectual belief. It is to lean completely, to steady oneself upon. Abraham staked his whole life on Yahweh's word, like a man leaning his weight on a staff in the wilderness. It was accounted to him. The word means reckoned, credited. In imagery, Yahweh recorded it in Abraham's ledger as if it were wealth deposited into his account. His trust was seen as covenant loyalty. For righteousness, the Hebrew word tzedakah, not a distant abstraction but concrete right standing. Being straight, aligned, upright in the clan before the covenant father. Abraham's trust, not his works, was what marked him righteous.
Verse 7. Know you therefore that they which are of faith, the same are the children of Abraham.
Know this for certain. Those who walk in trust, these are the true sons of Abraham.
Know you therefore, Paul urges them to understand this clearly. In Hebrew imagery, to know, yada, is not just intellectual awareness but a deep, wholehearted recognition, a truth accepted with the entire being. They which are of faith, those who walk in trust. Emunah means steady, faithful trust, like hands that do not let go of the plow. Paul says the true family line is marked not by basar cutting, but by this covenant loyalty. The same are the children of Abraham. In Hebrew thought, to be Abraham's child means to inherit his tent and promise. Paul says, the true lineage isn't determined by blood or ritual, but by walking the same path of trust that Abraham walked under the stars.
We'll pause here and continue in our next chat.
If you listeners have areas of interest you'd like to explore further, questions or comments, please don't hesitate to let us know.